holding you back? Try Aleve for longer-lasting pain relief. Unlike Tylenol and Advil, just one dose of Aleve provides up to 12 hours of relief from all types of body pain. Try Aleve.
I'm RJ Decker, Florida's most lovable PI.
The barge.
Dewey.
You and this place, you were made for each other.
What do you mean, the bar?
Florida.
That's our show. Thanks to Savannah Chrisley. I'm glad you had fun here for being our co-host this week. Have a great day, everyone, and take a little time to enjoy
The View.
This is ABC 7 News at Noon.
Hello, everyone. Coming up this afternoon, an Augusta man is fighting for his life following a terrible fire in his home. We'll have the latest coming up. Also, Bangor residents are learning more about a plan that could raise their local water rates. And we'll visit a cafe in Ellsworth that has a new beginning with a brand new owner. We'll check that out as well. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Craig Colson, sitting in for Susan Farley today. We thank you for joining us. We'll have all the day's news coming up in just a moment, but first we're going to turn our attention to the weather. Pretty quiet out there right now, just a cloudy day, but it looks like some snow will be developing as the evening rolls along. Not a huge storm by any means, but it looks like we could get anywhere from maybe an inch or so to at least several inches here in the Bangor area. For more on that, let's turn things over to meteorologist Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, happy Friday afternoon. We have winter weather advisories that are up until Saturday at 7 a.m. for snow that's moving in from the southwest and going toward the north and east. We also have small craft advisories that are up until Sunday at around 5 a.m. as we're continuing to watch for active surf that will be on the way. Meanwhile, we have clouds that are already starting to track in from the southwest too as that next system continues to approach. So any sunshine we're seeing, that's going away as we're watching that next system moving in. So clouds will be the dominant picture as we head towards the afternoon period. Futurecast showing those clouds moving in and snow beginning later on tonight. It will back off as we head towards your Saturday, and we'll have sunshine returning by Saturday afternoon. But meanwhile, gusty winds will become a thing too as we head towards tonight and the parts of your Saturday and even through Saturday itself. We're going to be dealing with those gusty winds. So for today, mid-30s, increasing clouds, and that northeast wind at around 5 miles per hour. Overnight, 11 degrees, mostly cloudy, snow showers, north wind at around 20 miles per hour. Tomorrow, Saturday, upper 20s, some morning snow showers, then mostly sunny, and then that north wind at around 25 miles per hour. The hourly forecast moving forward, nothing but cloudy skies and temperatures in the 30s and then cooling off. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up.
All right, thank you, Devin. We'll look forward to that. Well, a house fire in Augusta left one man badly injured. It was just after 2 o'clock Thursday afternoon. Crews were dispatched to 347 Riverside Drive, where Augusta Fire Chief Dave Groder says they found a fire in the basement. Officials say one man was inside at the time and he was critically injured and rushed to a local hospital where a Life Flight helicopter was waiting to transport him to Maine Medical Center. Groder says the fire was contained to the basement and quickly brought under control. The northbound side of Riverside Drive in Augusta between Routes 3 and Stevens Road was shut down while crews worked the scene. The cause of the fire remains under investigation by the fire marshal's office, and at last report that homeowner was in critical condition. Meanwhile, Augusta police are investigating a suspicious package that was delivered to the Maine Republican Party headquarters. Chief Kevin Loley says officers responded around 1 p.m. to the headquarters located on Higgins Street for a report of a suspicious package received. There are no confirmed details on what was in that package. The package was isolated, the building was evacuated, and police are now working with other law enforcement partners to identify the contents. Police say there are currently no known injuries or illnesses associated with that package.
It's unfortunate that things are getting insane like this. I mean, we're just a political party. We haven't done anything crazy, and now we're getting, stupid envelopes with stuff in it. So it's not going to stop us, and we always act cautiously when it comes to safety situations, but we're going to continue doing our work because this stuff is getting out of hand.
Augusta police ask anyone with information regarding the whereabouts or identity of anyone involved to reach out to the Augusta Police Department. Meanwhile, folks in Bangor gathered last night to voice their questions and concerns about a proposed rate hike for water. Our Callie Warren with that story.
10.5% is a huge increase, no matter how you calculate. Did you get a 10.5% increase in wages this year?
Economic conditions are straining Bangor's water district and Bangor residents. The water district laid out their plan Thursday to raise water prices 10.5% across the board.
One of the biggest issues facing us is we have 200 miles of water main under the streets of Bangor, and 42 of those miles are over 100 years old. You're talking $2 million a mile for replacing water mains. That's $84 million we're facing.
The city experienced 73 water main breaks in 2025 alone. Those from the district say their water prices, even with the proposal, are already affordable compared to other options.
A gallon of water that you buy at a store is $1.26 roughly. And we sell that for 0.0107 cents for that same gallon of water.
But residents say they're facing much more strain on their wallets in recent years, and this proposal only worsens it.
And today we are looking at rate increases of 60% here in Bangor for electricity, 40 to 60% increases on natural gas and heating oil, and this is all since 2020.
The 10.5% price hike is a flat rate for all water consumers. The water district says for the average residential consumer, the increase will be around $11 per quarter, making an extra $44 per year.
There comes a point where it's the straw that breaks the camel's back, and I'm not saying this is it. I just think things are going to get worse until we do something different.
The increase proposal has to be approved by the Public Utilities Commission. Residents have 90 days to circulate and present a petition in opposition if they choose. Otherwise, if the proposal is approved as it currently stands, the new pricing will take effect April 1st. In Bangor, Callie Warren, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
In other news this noon, a Kennebec County grand jury has indicted a Chelsea man accused of shooting at sheriff's deputies during a chase. 33-year-old Dustin Smith is facing numerous charges, including aggravated attempted murder and eluding an officer. Authorities say he led police on a chase through several towns in December and also fired a gun at police during that pursuit. Smith was grazed by a bullet fired by police as that chase finally came to an end in Augusta. A man was arrested in Brewer after several alleged instances of trespassing, arrested 3 times this week. 58-year-old David Lammacher was arrested for criminal trespassing on February 14th. After Brewer, police say they located him outside a Wilson Street business, attempting to fight customers that were entering. According to police, Lammacher refused to leave the property after multiple warnings and was arrested and then later released. Later on that same day, police say they located him once again ordering pizza from a closed South Main Street business. He was arrested and charged with another count of criminal trespass in violation of conditional release. And yes, he was later released again. Yesterday, officers responded to a report of a man sleeping in a different closed business on South Main Street in Brewer. Police say officers arrived and located Lammacher at the scene, and he was arrested once more on charges of criminal trespass and violation of conditional release. It's unclear if he was released that time. Well, as Maine's housing shortage gets worse, officials warn that if nothing changes, the state could be nearly 80,000 units short by 2030. At the State House, the newly formed coalition Build Homes, Build Community laid out its priorities for the abbreviated legislative session. Members echoed concerns raised by state leaders, saying the lack of housing is directly tied to a lack of a workforce, as it makes it harder for employers to hire and for communities to grow. The coalition says it wants lawmakers to deregulate barriers they believe are slowing development and driving up the costs.
Maine has experts who have already identified specific regulatory barriers that slow housing down without improving outcomes. The LD 1375 process produced concrete recommendations we should enact because predictability and speed matter if we want to get homes built.
The group also pushed for bills they say would streamline state permitting and reduce delays to get more homes built faster. A group of Maine people is working to spread the message to stop tax cuts for the wealthy and put that money towards solving Maine's affordability crisis. Mainers for Tax Fairness brought that message to lawmakers on Thursday in conjunction with the legislative hearing on the tax components of Governor Mills' supplemental budget plan. Leaders say these funds should help Mainers struggling with everyday expenses like housing, health care, and food.
We need more than just one-time checks. We need long-term solutions for long-term problems. No amount of Band-Aids will fix an economy that too often feels rigged. Mainers want stability. They want fairness. They want solutions with staying power.
Being added, there are several bills in the legislature on these issues, and leaders need to work to ensure that they become law. Well, coming up on ABC 7 News at noon, this noon, Britain's former Prince Andrew has been released following his arrest. We'll have the latest on that. And we'll also visit the Flexit Cafe in Ellsworth. It has been purchased by a 24-year-old woman who has big plans for the future. We'll hear all about it coming up.
The finest luxury fragrances are now exclusively available at your local store. Unstoppable's Unlimited collection makes everything smell magnifique. Luxury laundry scent beads so you can smell unstoppable.
Whether you can pinpoint the problem or can't quite put your finger on it, the friendly professionals from Coastal Auto Parts can help point you in the right direction. With Maine's largest network of parts, you can trust your vehicle will have what it needs to get you to the moments that matter most. Because Napa knows the keys to a winning team. With 30 locations in Maine, Coastal Auto Parts helps keep our communities running with quality parts and helpful people. That's Napa know-how. Coastal Auto Parts is owned and operated by a Maine family that cares.
People ask me all the time, are those commercials really true? Does Lowry & Associates really get all of those clients, all of those big settlements? Yes, we do. We really have gotten millions of dollars for Mainers hurt by commercial vehicles. And the insurance companies know when you call the twos, we're going to fight for you. And you know what else is true? I really am standing on top of this big truck.
Hurt by a big truck? Call the twos. We win for you.
In the great green woods, there was a fishing line and a red lobster buoy, the sun over the pine. And there were 3 little moose sitting on chairs, and 2 big boots, and a pair of bears, and a little toy boat, and a bowl full of blueberries, and a quiet old loon who was whispering, "Hush, good morning, stars. Good morning, air. Good morning, Maine everywhere. Good morning, Maine. Good morning, sun. Good morning, the light in everyone. Good morning, Maine. Local news, weekdays at 7 a.m.
No. I'm in my own head.
What the heck are you talking about?
I think I got away with something that I shouldn't have. See that brand new Hyundai Santa Fe?
Yeah.
I only paid.
Finish that bucket on your own. Practice makes perfect.
Enjoy your new car.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.
Deal so right, it almost feels wrong. The Hyundai Getaway Sales Event.
Lease a Hyundai Elantra SE for $189 a month or get 3.99% APR for 60 months. Hurry in.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Tensions are mounting between Iran and the U.S. despite a second round of talks this week in Geneva. Now President Trump is threatening to launch an attack if a deal on Iran's nuclear program can't be reached. Fox's Caroline Shively is in Washington with the latest.
A show of force from Iran and the U.S. Iranian forces and Russian sailors conducting annual drills as the U.S. continues to build up U.S. troops in the Middle East. The USS Gerald Ford aircraft carrier nearing the mouth of the Mediterranean Sea. At the White House, the moves come as President Trump reportedly weighs a limited strike on Iran, saying Iran has 10 to 15 days maximum to reach an agreement with the U.S. on its nuclear program.
Well, we'll either make a deal or we're going to get a deal one way or the other.
Iran's Minister of Foreign Affairs voicing optimism Friday a deal can be reached, saying Iran has agreed to drop a written proposal to address U.S. concerns.
We agreed on a set of principles or guiding principles for our negotiation and how a deal can look like.
Meantime, Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu issued a fresh warning to Iran not to attack.
We are prepared for every scenario, and one thing is certain: if the Ayatollahs make a mistake and attack us,
they will receive a response that they cannot even imagine.
This as Iran's UN ambassador, in a letter to the UN Security Council, issued a warning should Iran be subjected to military aggression, writing, quote, Iran will respond decisively and proportionately in the exercise of its inherent right of self-defense.
Our demands have been clear for quite some time. Iran cannot have a nuke.
The Wall Street Journal reports that sources familiar with the matter say if there is an initial strike by the U.S., only a few military or government sites would be targeted. In Washington, Caroline Shively, Fox News.
The U.S. Supreme Court strikes down the Trump administration's sweeping global tariffs in a major ruling this morning. The court's 6-3 ruling to reject the global tariffs imposed under an emergency powers law brings a significant loss to President Donald Trump's economic agenda. Trump called the case one of the most important in U.S. history, arguing that a ruling against him would be a, quote, economic body blow to the country. The decision does not prevent Trump from imposing duties under other laws. Top administrative officials have said they intend to keep the tariff structure in place under other authorities outside of the primary law. We'll have to keep you updated on that. Well, investigators in the UK are searching the home of former Prince Andrew after his arrest. King Charles issuing a statement on his brother, the king saying authorities will have his full and wholehearted support and cooperation. ABC's Perry Russell with that story.
Police officers seen today outside the gate to the former mansion of Andrew Mountbatten, Windsor, a day after his historic arrest. King Charles's brother seen sulking in a car after his release from custody. This morning, that picture plastered on newspapers across the UK. Andrew arrested yesterday on suspicion of misconduct in public office. There are questions about whether he shared confidential information with Jeffrey Epstein, while Andrew served as a British trade envoy. King Charles issuing a statement saying, in part, what now follows is the full, fair, and proper process. The king says authorities will have his full and wholehearted support and cooperation.
It has absolutely put a line between the monarchy and Andrew. And the message from that statement quite clearly, look, he's on his own.
Andrew's arrest comes after the Department of Justice released millions of documents tied to Epstein. This case is not tied to any allegations of sexual misconduct. Andrew has denied having sex with Virginia Giuffre, who claims she was trafficked to him by Epstein. Andrew paid Giuffre a settlement and maintains his innocence. Giuffre died by suicide last year.
Kudos to the UK for taking the first step, for saying, you know what, we are going to arrest somebody who is held to one of the highest esteems out there, somebody who was a former prince.
Andrew was released without being charged. His case is under investigation. That investigation could take weeks or months. Perry Russell, ABC News, New York.
Well, meanwhile, President Trump hosts the National Governors Association winter meeting at the White House today. Governors from all around the country gathered at the state dining room for a working breakfast. Democratic Governor Wes Moore of Maryland is seen at the event despite being excluded from the guest list. Trump refused to include Moore and Colorado Democratic Governor Jared Polis, who have been critical of Trump, breaking with the bipartisan tradition of the annual gathering. Governor Mills said that she was also boycotting that event, but she did show up there this morning. She was seen in a photo there. Well, the Joint Standing Committee on the Judiciary heard public testimony yesterday on bills that aim to support tribal sovereignty for the Wabanaki Nations here in Maine. LD 785 is a priority bill for the Wabanaki Alliance and Maine's Environmental Priorities Coalition. Advocates say the bill would restore the Wabanaki Nation's inherent right to self-determination and treat the Wabanaki Nations like all other federally recognized tribes. According to the bill's co-sponsor, Senator Rick Bennett of Oxford, the legislation is based on the recommendations of a bipartisan task force of legislators to amend the Maine Indian Claims Settlement Act to restore self-governance over a range of issues.
It's not just about the tribes. It's about all of us Mainers. And if the tribes are prospering and are free to pursue their own ambitions, then I think that it will lift the boats for all Mainers.
The committee also heard public testimony on LD 395, an act to restore access to federal laws beneficial to the Wabanaki Nations. According to the Wabanaki Alliance, this bill would modernize the settlement acts, ensuring that the tribes in Maine are not excluded when Congress passes federal legislation for tribes nationwide. And still ahead this noon, we'll see what Mr. Food is whipping up in the test kitchen. That's next. Don't go away.
Thinking of updating my kitchen?
Yeah? Yes.
This year, we are finally updating our kitchen. Doing subway tile and an ivory or eggshell. Cream, maybe bone. Don't get me started on quartz. Big island. You ever heard of a waterfall cabinet?
For everyone who talks about doing that thing,
And over there,
but never does that thing,
sweet little breakfast nook.
Chase has financial guidance.
See how you can start saving to make this happen.
Really?
Really?
Really.
At home or in person.
You could also check out a Chase Money Skills workshop.
That's guidance from Chase. Make more of what's yours.
Hi, I'm Tony Hafford from TC Hafford Basement Systems, the all things basement-y company. Basement waterproofing, basement structural repair, humidity and mold control, and nasty crawl spaces too. Since 1991, over 15,000 Maine homeowners have trusted TC Hafford Basement Systems to fix their basements. Call TC Hafford Basement Systems today for all things basement-y.
In Minneapolis, innocent citizens gunned down. Here in Maine, ICE agents detaining local law enforcement. And Susan Collins is giving ICE even more power. As head of the committee that controls spending, Collins wrote the bill to increase ICE funding with no restrictions, no restraints, letting masked agents enter homes without warrants, raid churches and classrooms. Tell Susan Collins to stop towing the party line and start holding ICE accountable.
Jamar Construction Products in Bangor continues to grow to meet our customers' needs, supplying products for site work contractors, concrete contractors, and survey and safety supplies. We are proud to be the local dealer for Hilti, Valley Blades, U.S. Fabrics, and Euclid Chemical, plus so much more. Stop by and see us at 1270 Hammond Street or give us a call at 907-4491. If you dig it, pour it, plow it, fasten it, lay it, or lift it, Jamar Construction Products can help you.
Congratulations to all the teams in the tournament from Steaks and Stuff in Lincoln, your local full-service Sure-Fine supermarket. Good luck to all the teams in the tournament from Collector's Choice Sports Cards in Brewer. We carry sports cards, TCG, and also buy, sell, and trade. Katahdin Federal Credit Union wants to wish the very best to all the teams in the tournament.
Peppercorns are so abundant today that it's hard to believe that at one time they were so valuable and exclusive that they were used in place of money and that they were worth more than gold. Imagine if you got a peppercorn necklace on Valentine's Day instead of a gold one. Today, it's still known as the king of spices. In fact, the desire to find pepper in the New World spurred a lot of sea exploration during the 15th and 16th centuries. In our markets today, we can find peppercorn in three main varieties. Black ones for our pepper shakers, the white variety, which is simply a milder version of the black with the outer layer removed, and green peppercorns that are younger, fresher berries. And believe it or not, they all come from the same vine. Now, you might also come across pink pepper. However, this comes from a different plant and is much milder than traditional pepper. So, to salute the peppercorn, we decided to make this the star of our roasted pork tenderloin by adding a crust of black pepper to it. Once it's sliced and topped with our easy homemade raspberry sauce, the result is worth its weight in gold. You can discover how tasty it is for yourself by getting our recipe for cracked peppercorn pork online. It's your chance to savor the king of spices with your gang. I'm Howard in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we're looking for a peppery way for you to say, "Ooh, it's so good."
Speaking of food, a cafe in downtown Ellsworth is under new ownership. Even though she's in her mid-20s, her familiarity with the establishment is quite extensive. Our Doug Banks has the story.
At 24 years old, dreams can sometimes feel far removed from reality. But for Sailor Desjardins, she's woken up and smelled the coffee. On Monday, the keys and tradition of the Flexit Cafe were handed over to her.
It's been pretty good so far.
Well, she's perfect. This is Paul Markosian, who alongside his wife started the cafe in 2015. Its concept is what's called a third space, a place where people can sit down with a cup of coffee and stay for hours. Something the new owner is no stranger to, because when she was in college, she'd stop in, buy
a cup of coffee and some hash brown bites,
and study for hours. Never once was she asked to leave.
I really hope to keep that same vibe.
Desjardins also began working at her home away from home a few years ago. But this past fall, an opportunity arose.
I would tell people, you know, I'd like to retire in about 2 years. I'd been saying that for like 6 years.
And I never really took him seriously because he's just always working.
But one day she asked me if I was serious
about selling Flexit.
And I said yes.
I knew I wanted to start my own business or take over another business.
We started talking and we came to an agreement.
So now begins a new chapter at a cafe, decorated with employee-drawn art and delicately crafted coffee. But their new chapter is written within the same book.
Most of the people that come in here know him, and he's able to just go out into the lobby and talk with almost everybody at every table. And I hope to be able to do that and form that connection with the community as well.
In Ellsworth, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Good for her. We hope she has many years of success. And when we come back, Devin Biggs with your full 5-day forecast. A little snow on the way. Don't go away.
You come to a credit union to work because you actually like helping people.
You get to be a part of really life-changing moments.
It builds a really rewarding professional career.
And that's why I like credit unions.
When lives are on the line, they don't hesitate to run towards danger. Unfortunately, the same gear that protects them from deadly flames can be hazardous to their health. Senator Susan Collins to the rescue. Susan helped introduce legislation that protects firefighters and first responders from cancer-causing forever chemicals in their equipment. Because their job is dangerous enough. Call Senator Collins and thank her for protecting Maine's first responders.
You heard it was a hit. You heard it was a smash. A wonder. A phenomenon. An international sensation. But you haven't heard them.
March 16 at the Cross Insurance Center. Get your tickets today. Roto-Rooter has served the greater Bangor area and beyond for 35 years, offering plumbing, hydrojetting, snaking, descaling, video inspection, and grease interceptor cleaning services. For all your residential and commercial clogs, call Roto-Rooter today, 990-1234.
And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter.
You couldn't ask for a better group of people when you're working at a credit union.
When I first started out, everyone was super welcoming.
There's a lot of focus with the community.
It builds a really rewarding professional career. It's just a wonderful place to work.
Well, it looks like tomorrow morning may not be the best time to be driving out on the roads in Maine, especially if you're heading down south to the Portland area. We do have a snowstorm working its way in. The good news is it will wrap up by tomorrow morning, which will give crews a chance to clear up all the roadways, and then we'll have sunshine right behind it. Here's Devin Biggs with your full forecast.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Old Town Redemption Center, now offering a 10% bonus on your returnables and a monthly $100 drawing. Alrighty, here we go. We have a winter weather advisory that is up until 7 a.m. as we head towards your Saturday for the southwestern parts of the state for snow accumulations that will be moving in. A small craft advisory up until 5 a.m. as we head towards your Sunday. The wave height's not too bad just yet, at around 2 feet according to the buoys, and calmer otherwise surrounding those buoys. But farther out towards sea at around 4 to 6 feet at this moment in time. But once you do push forward, those will be increasing. But for now, it's been rather clear out there, but don't get used to that. We do have clouds that will be pushing in from the southwest and going toward the north and east with this system right there that will be pushing in our direction, giving us an opportunity for snow that will be moving in, that will be accumulating. Futurecast showing the clouds approaching by around 7 to 8 o'clock tonight. That will be pushing in as snow. The snow will be continuing until about 5 or 6 o'clock. It gets out of here, and by around midday, the sunshine does make a return, and will keep the skies clear Saturday night. Maybe some clouds or areas of dense fog, but otherwise, we're looking pretty good as we head towards your Sunday as well. As for the snow, we could see around 2 to 4 inches of snow from Bar Harbor to Bangor to Greenville before we're all finished up. Around an inch in parts of Washington County, and 3 to 6 inches of snow in the southwestern parts of the state. That's why that winter weather advisory is posted at this moment in time. So your forecast for today, we have mid-30s, increasing clouds, and that northeast wind getting up to about 5 miles per hour. And then we push ahead towards the overnight period. We have 11 degrees, mostly cloudy. The snow showers get going, and that north wind at around 20 miles per hour. And then it's Saturday. We have upper 20s, some morning snow showers becoming mostly sunny, and that north wind at around 25 miles per hour. And let's check out your extended forecast, brought to you by Old Town Redemption Center. Will be partly cloudy for your Sunday with highs in the mid-30s, and then upper 20s for your Monday with a chance for snow. Mostly cloudy for your Tuesday, highs in the upper 20s.
Well, a new piece of record for a piece of Cooper flag memorabilia. The jersey worn by the Dallas Mavericks rookie Cooper Flag in the first half of his NBA debut has been sold privately by Sotheby's for $1 million, a record for a flag collectible and a record for a jersey sold through NBA auctions. Good for him. That's it for now, folks. We thank you so much for joining us. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here Monday morning.
When you fled, there was a high-speed chase.
Yes.
But they caught you.
A busted boyfriend.
Prince Charming over here calls from jail and says, can somebody help me out?
A generous father.
You put up your truck as collateral for his bail, and they didn't pay you back.
And his dishonest daughter.
Why didn't you take care of the bail? I did. Did they make any payments on the bail?
No, ma'am.
So your daughter is a liar.
Next, Judge Judy.
Friday at 5 on ABC 7.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
The following is a paid program for CarShield, America's most trusted auto protection.